Hello, my friends. How are you? We have quite a situation to talk about today, as yesterday there was a huge celebration for Donald Trump as he signed an executive order to get rid of the Department of Education. Now, I have good news for you, my friends. I did what every red-blooded American should do out there. I didn't listen to a single person's talking points on this. I have not listened to a single video about this whatsoever. Here's what I did. I went to the internet and I typed in a very simple phrase, a very simple question. I typed in there, what does the Department of Education do? That was my question. It came back with something very interesting that has fully convinced me that this is 100% an attack by Donald Trump, of course, on education. The Republican Party does that on purpose, but also there is something very alarming in what the Department of Education actually does that stood out to me and made me very concerned with this executive order from Donald Trump. Now, I don't know specifically where it is, if it's been challenged in court, if it will be challenged in court, or anything like that. It's one of those things we'll watch the process as it unfolds. But nonetheless, Donald Trump has signed an executive order to get rid of the Department of Education, and we're going to talk about that and the very alarming thing that I see happening in this executive order. Because when I show you what I'm looking at, you're going to see that this is outright fucking dangerous and maybe scary to a lot of people out there. So we're going to talk about that real quick before we get into it. Make sure you check the pinned comment. I got a link to my Blue Sky if you would like to follow me there, and a link to the channel memberships that are $1.99 a month if you would like to help to support the channel that way. Real quick, for anybody that missed my live stream last night, I unfortunately have to get a little bit of ugliness out of the way. I will take up less than a minute of your time with this. I was pushing a Discord community for a while that some viewers had been building up for our community here. I have since left that Discord community and I am no longer affiliated with them, and it would be on my recommendation, you guys are all adults, you can do what you want, that you would leave that community also, because it unfortunately turned into a very far left echo chamber, do what you're told, think what we tell you to think, or we will start a smear campaign against you type of place. And if you guys know me, I 100% do not support that kind of behavior. We can bicker about who's saying things wrong after we get through the nonsense that's going on here, but right now we've got actual Nazis and fascists in our fucking government, and we need to get our heads out of our asses and not be doing shit like that. On top of that, there were frequent comments about how a couple of the admins there could profit personally off of this channel, even though I had opened up the option to have conversations about compensation for them running the Discord on multiple occasions. They were pretty insistent on selling merchandise to you guys. With this kind of community, there are a lot of people near retirement age having a hard time right now, worried about if they're going to get their Social Security checks, worried about if their Medicare or Medicaid is going to stay on, veterans that are worried about if they're going to have a job. What I'm trying to tell you is I have no interest in hawking you cheap fucking merchandise for my own personal gain. But this is a grassroots kind of channel. There's no sponsorships, there's no Patreon. We have the standard YouTube ads, we have channel memberships if you'd like, super chats, super thanks if you're in a position to help and you feel like doing so, and that will be the extent of it ever. This is not a cash grab for me, but you are welcome to help if you would like. A quick other point on that I'd like to make. Well, the last point that I'd like to make on that is that I owe my viewers an apology. I should have vetted people better. I should have been more cautious of their motives before I started recommending people to that community. I'm going to chalk it up as a learning experience, and from now on, any social media having to do with this channel will be 100% solely handled by me, and the links to that stuff is of course in the pinned comment all the time. So hey, we live, we learn, we move on, but I would be cautious of sort of their motives over there in that Discord, and I apologize for sending people that way. That was a small oversight on my part. With all that out of the way, we need to talk about this Department of Education thing, because this is actually terrifying if you look at what the Department of Education does. Because I thought that the Department of Education maybe set the criteria, like the education criteria, or handled funding for schools. And I was only part right on that. But we are falling into the same trap that not we, but a lot of Trump supporters fell into when it came to overturning Roe versus Wade, which I understand was overturned under Joe Biden's presidency, but by Donald Trump appointed lawyers, judges, Supreme Court judges. There we go. I just remembered what I was talking about, Supreme Court judges, and he was very much in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade. And by he, I mean Donald Trump. A thing that we saw happen in that was a lot of Trump supporters said, I don't see what the problem is, he's just sending it back to the states. Well, the problem is, apparently we didn't fucking learn anything by, unfortunately, all the dead pregnant women in red states. I'm not making light of it. That is an absolutely fucking tragic thing. And if we could have learned anything from that lesson, is that by overturning Roe versus Wade and returning the decision to the states if they would allow a medical life-saving procedure or not, unfortunately resulted in the death of multiple women in red states that needed medical attention. You'll never be able to sway me on that opinion. I don't think that that's okay. Now, unfortunately, Trump supporters believe that, I don't know that they do. Like I said, I've listened to nothing on this. This is all from what I read and my own opinion on what I'm understanding of all of this. I would say that they will probably make the case that the Department of Education, by getting rid of it, only sends education back to the state level, and they'd be wrong about that. According to information I'll put up on the screen, if I remember to do that, the Department of Education has no control over the criteria at the state level. It's not something they did. So what I should have on the screen right now, hopefully, is what I looked up. And it says on there that the Department of Education handles, administers federal funding, and enforces civil rights laws. That, my friends, is the part that we need to be paying attention to. The absolutely terrifying thing that we just saw. Pay attention to that. Enforces civil rights laws. What have we just fucking done? What has Donald Trump just done? It does not kick the criteria for education back to the fucking state level. And initially, that's what I thought that it did. That's what I was concerned with. And I fucking was like, who cares? I mean, what does this mean? The red states are just going to get dumber while they refuse to educate their people? Listen, this is 100% one of the things that the Republican Party does. They keep us uneducated for a fucking reason. If we were educated in this country, Republicans would never win an election. That is why they are so adamantly opposed to education. They are so adamantly opposed to college. They say he went off to college and he turned into a liberal. But none of that is what fucking matters, because the states, according to the information I just put up on the screen, the states already had control of their own educational criteria. This has turned schools in red states into an absolute nightmare for kids that are not exactly the same as everyone else there. It could be anything that makes you different. It could be your race, your sexuality, your gender, any number of things. The civil rights laws are no longer enforced by the schools because of getting rid of the Department of Education. Now, we know that the Republican Party has long been against anyone different from them, a white Christian male, right? We should all be fucking very terrified by this, though, because we all have kids, right? I don't know that we all have kids, but it's entirely possible that your child can belong to a marginalized groups, and Donald Trump has just made it okay for schools to not enforce civil rights laws. And we've got red fucking states out there that are very close-minded when it comes to people that are different. At very least, my friends, this opens the door to bullying the living shit out of certain kids in schools across America with now any concern, without any defense, nothing to save them. Because if you're in one of these, backwoods red states that fucking believes that you're only human if you fit a certain criteria, you've got a fucking problem on your hands now. This was the part that stood out to me the most. This is the part that I found to be truly frightening with this. I didn't know that the fucking Department of Education was the people that were protecting children that were different. And you can be different in a lot of fucking ways, right? It's not up to me to fucking, I don't know what I meant to say with that. But that's the part that's really fucking scary. And that's the part that should signal of many things that this Trump administration has done already. That's the thing that should signal we are going after the people that are not like us. We are trying to turn America back into white America. White people in charge of everything, and everybody that's not a white person is less than us. Because me, as a white male in America, I don't have to worry about my civil rights being trampled on. Never ever had to fucking worry about it. Look at what's going on. We just took away civil rights from kids. We are trying to, not we as in me, I'm not involved, but we collectively as a fucking country, I guess, are trying to take away women's rights to vote if they don't have the name that matches their birth certificate, which means married women, right? There was something going on with bringing back segregation a few days ago. I didn't read into it yet. We are 100%, not us, the country, 100% is opening the doors up to hate once again. And we are making it acceptable to attack marginalized groups. We've crossed the threshold, my friends. If we hadn't already, we definitely did now. Look, it's just the information I put on the screen. It's just what I read when I Googled what does the Department of Education do. I'm open to being corrected on this, but it says what it fucking says. These are scary fucking times in America, if this is the things we're allowing the government to do. We are 100% going after marginalized groups. The mass deportations, they don't even know if a lot of these recent deportations were gang members. They just, I don't know how they based it. Skin color? I'm not sure. This has officially become a country of hate. Because with a swipe of the pen, and probably millions of Americans convinced that education was just sent back to the state level, what actually happened, according to the information I put on the screen right in front of you, is we have taken civil rights away from children. We weren't happy by making them go hungry at school, were we? That's it. That's the video, my friends. I don't have an answer. There's no solution to what I just fucking said, except fucking move to blue states. That's your only choice at this point. If you're living in a red state and your child is slightly different from a white male, has some variation that makes them not specifically a white male, they have now become a target with no protection from the federal government. And do you think that that local closeted racist principal is going to do anything? Do you think the local police department in bumfuck middle of nowhere is going to do anything? No, they just made it so they don't have to. Nobody's going to hold them accountable for it. And if that's not fucking scary, I don't know what is, my friend. So with that said, I just wanted to give my view on why this is a bad fucking thing. I wanted to know if I should be mad about it or not. And I'm fucking mad about it. I am absolutely livid that that is the path we're taking in America. And anything about how he just kicked education back to the state, if that is the arguments that are coming out, is a lie. Because we already know the states had control of their own criteria already. He cut off funding to schools, and he cut off civil rights protection in schools. What do we say to that? Anyways, I got to get back to work. Love you guys. Bye now.